Swiss Federal Railways, French, Chemins de FFF copyright d'art copyright Rose Suisses, Italian, Ferrovie federali svizzere, is the national railway company of Switzerland. It is usually referred to by the initials of its German, French and Italian names, either concatenated as SBB CFF FFS, or used separately. The Romansh version of its name, Viafiers federalas svizras, is not officially used. The company is headquartered in Bern. Formerly a government institution, since 1999 it has been a special stock corporation with all shares held by the Swiss Confederation or the Swiss cantons. Organization: Swiss Federal Railways is divided into 3 divisions and 2 groups: passenger traffic, freight traffic, infrastructure, real estate, core services. The corporation is led in an entrepreneurial manner. A performance agreement between Swiss Federal Railways and the Swiss Confederation defines the requirements and is updated every 4 years. At the same time, the compensation rates per train and track kilometer are defined. Subsidiary SBB GmbH is responsible for passenger traffic in Germany. It operates the Wiesentalbahn and the Svizzras services. Further subsidiaries are Turbo, Region Alps, Alp Transit Gotthard AG, Cisalpino AG and T-Lo. The Swiss Federal Railways hold significant shares of the Zentralbahn and Lyria SAS. To maintain heritage, the Stiftung Historisches Bäder SBB was founded in 2002. This foundation takes care of the historic rolling stock and runs a technical library in Bern, document and photographic archives, and the SBB poster collection. Figures: passengers carried per year, 365, 9 million, freight per year, 48, 3 million tons, length of railway network, 3175 km in standard gauge and 98 km meter gauge, stations open to passengers, 792, stations with freight traffic, 193, employees, 30,977, customer punctuality, 87.5% of all passengers reached their destination, measured from departure station including any necessary changes, with less than 3 minutes of delay, connections made, 97.3%, passenger kilometer per inhabitant. 2,194 kilometers, percentage electrified routes, 100%, the Swiss Federal Railways rail network is totally electrified. The meter-gauge Bra-1-Quartenagbahn was SBB's only non-standard gauge line, until it was outsourced and merged with the Lausanne-Stans-Ingelbergbahn to form the Zentralbahn, in which SBB holds shares. History: in the 19th century, all Swiss railways were owned by private ventures. The economic and political interests of these companies led to lines being built in parallel, and some companies went bankrupt in the resulting competition. On February 20, 1898, the Swiss people agreed in a referendum to the creation of a state-owned railway company. The first train running on the account of the Swiss Confederation ran during the night of New Year's Eve in 1901 from Zurich via Bern to Geneva, although January 1, 1902 is regarded as the official birth date of Swiss Federal Railways. In the meantime, the trains were run by the Swiss Confederation on behalf of the private companies. The following railway companies were nationalized: Aargauische One-Quartered-Bahn, Bar Paragraphsbugbahn, Schweizerische Nordostbahn, Schweizerische Zentralbahn, Toggenburger Bahn, Vereinigte Schweizer Bahnen, Tar Paragraphstalbahn including the Waldra One-Quarter-T Railway, Wallen-Bremgarten Railway, Jura Simplenbahn including the Bra One-Quartenagbahn. Other companies were included later, and the rail network was extended. It is still growing today. First-class compartments were discontinued on June 3, 1956, and second- and third-class accommodation was reclassified as first- and second-class, respectively. In 1982 SBB introduced the Taktfahrplan, with trains for certain destinations leaving every 60 minutes, greatly simplifying the timetable. On December 12, 2004 the first phase of Bahn 2000, an ambitious program to improve the company's services, was put into effect. The core element was the Zurich-Bern-Basel triangle, where travel times between the cities was reduced to under 1 hour, resulting in good connections from these stations for most trains. Some connections between cities got 2 trains in each direction per hour or more, and the S-Bahn services were intensified to 4 or more trains per hour. Because of these changes, 90% of the timetable was changed, 12% more trains were scheduled, and travel times generally improved. It was the greatest timetable change since the introduction of the Taktwege plan. For this change to be possible, large parts of the infrastructure had to be modified and many stations were rebuilt, for instance the line from Zigerbel 1/4 CKE to Sargans or Bern main station, which got the wave of Bern, a platform over the tracks to provide better access to the platforms and the city centre. On June 22, 2005, a short circuit on a long-distance power transmission line in central Switzerland led to a chain reaction. The entire Swiss Federal Railways network was out of service during rush hour, and an estimated 200,000 people and 1,500 trains were stuck at stations or somewhere on the track. It turned out that the SBB power transmission network was overloaded and did not provide enough redundancy to tolerate the shutdown of the 4-cable Amsterdam power line due to construction works. So, the power grid was split in 2 parts, the northern half being overloaded and the southern half having a load reduction, for the SBB power plants are situated in the southern part, while most of the power is needed in the northern part. The situation led to high voltage fluctuations and finally breakdown and emergency shutdown of the entire power supply. In the same year, the Swiss Federal Railways received the Wacker Prize, an award given out by the Swiss Heimatschutz, which is usually only granted to communes, for their extraordinary efforts. The Swiss Federal Railways have many high-class buildings from well-known architects such as Herzog and de Meuron, Santiago Calatrava or Max Vogt. In May 2010, SBB's first integrated network control center opened in Lausanne, to supervise all of SBB's network in the French-speaking part of Switzerland. Another integrated control center will be opened in Zurich. All trains and most buildings have been non-smoking since the timetable change of December 11, 2005. By the end of 2006, the corporation was handed over from the long-term CEO Benedikt Wabel to his successor Andreas Mayer. Clock. The Swiss Federal Railways clock, designed by Hans Hilfiger, has become a national icon. It is special in that it stops for just over a second at the end of each minute, to wait for a signal from the master clock which sets it going again thus keeping all station clocks synchronized. On September 20, 2012, Swiss and world media reported that the design of this clock had been copied without prior permission by Apple Incorporated and used in the iOS 6 clock application on Apple devices. The issue was settled, with Apple paying the Swiss Federal Railway Service about 20 million Swiss francs for its use of the clock design. Rolling stock. Mainline locomotives steam engines of the early days of the Swiss Federal Railways were, among others, the ED 2x2/2, E3/3, a 3/5, B3/4 and C5/6. The first electric trial runs using single-phase alternating current were made in 1903 on the line Siebge, Wettingen together with the Maschinen Fabrico Oerlikon, using the future Say 4/4 locomotives. The electrification of the network started 1919, motivated by the coal shortages during the First World War, and new electric locomotives were introduced. Say 6/82, Say 6/83 Crocodile, B4/6, B4/7, E3/6I, E3/62, E3/63, B4/7 and E4/6. A shift of paradigms happened in 1946, when the age of modern bogie-based locomotives without trailing axles started with the Re4/4I, followed by the E6/6, Re4/42, Re4/43, Re6/6, Re450 and Re460 per Re-Armour 465 Lock 2000. The delivery of the last Re465 marked the end of the Swiss locomotive industries with the closure of the Swiss Locomotive and Machine Works. The Swiss Federal Railways were split into 3 divisions, passenger, freight and infrastructure, each with independent locomotive supply policies. Because the passenger division got all modern Re460 and opted for multiple unit trains, mainline locomotives were bought only by the cargo division, namely Re 482 Trauchef 140 AC, Re 484 Trauchef 140 Miss, and Re 474 ES 64 F4. Multiple units equals. The first multiple units originated from the Setal Bern, which was formed in 1922. Larger series were uncommon until after 1950, B4/6, D4/4, BDE4/4, RBE4/4, RBDE 560 NPZ, and RABE 520 GTW. The first multiple unit train sets were bought for the introduction of the Taktweg plan on the line Zurich-Mylina-Rapperswil in 1967, RAB 12/12 Mirage, and RAB 8/16 Headquartered. Multiple unit train sets started to prevail in the 1990s, especially for commuter traffic, RAB 500 ICN, RAB 523 Flirt, and RAB 514 DTZ. While locomotive haul trains are rarely seen in commuter traffic nowadays, they are still usual in intercity traffic. In 2011, Stageler's RAB 511 were introduced in Zurich's S-Bahn, and in 2012 was introduced as a regional express between Genève and Romansh and Genève and Viafiers. Some of the most popular historic multiple-unit train sets are the Rottenpfeil and the Churchill-Pfeil. In international traffic, the Trans-Europe Express diesel train sets appeared in 1957, but were replaced by Four Systems electric train sets RATEII in 1961. On May 12, 2010, the Swiss Federal Railways announced its largest order of rolling stock, buying 59 double-deck EMUs from Bombardier, plus an option for another 100 train sets. The new trains will be delivered from 2015 at the earliest due to delays in the production process. Languages. SBB operates in all three official languages. The Romansh-speaking part of Switzerland is served by the RHB in any event. Stations are usually named with the abbreviation corresponding to, and signposted exclusively in, the language of the locality, that is Basel SBB, Lausanne CFF, Bellinzona FFS. Trains are labeled SBB CFF FFS. Announcements for local trains are made in the local language, those for long-distance trains and for trains which cross the language border in both appropriate languages. Long-distance trains at major stations also have announcements in English if there are many foreign travelers or in tourist regions. Services. Train services equals. SBB has the following services: R Regio stops at all stations, S-Bahn, organized as a rapid transit system around major agglomerations, with several lines and generally high-frequent service. RE, Regio express local trains to access the region. IR, Interregio are the workhorses of Swiss transit. They reach across 2 or 3 cantons, for instance from Geneva, along Lake Geneva through Vaud, and all the way to Brig at the far end of the Valais. IC, intercity stops at major cities. ICN, intercity tilting trains, same kind of product as IC, but using tilting trains instead of standard double-deck trains. City Night Line, specially equipped night trains to the Netherlands, Austria, Denmark, Germany. Extra, charter train or special train added when an exceptionally heavy traffic is expected. Regional trains are sometimes operated by another Swiss railways operator. SBB also operates international Eurocity and Euronight trains while within Switzerland, while Deutsche Bahn operates intercity express services to, from, and within the country, serving Swiss cities such as Interlaken, Bern, Basel, Saar-Quartier, and Chur. Under the name TGV Lyria, the French railway company SNCF operates TGV connections to Switzerland. Lyria SAS, a company established under French law, is a subsidiary of the Social Copyright Copyright Nationale des Chemins de Fafrina Section A's, which owns 74%, and the Chemins de FFF Copyright Rose Suisses, which owns 26%. TGV Lyria serves several Swiss cities including Geneva, Lausanne, Basel, Saar-Quartier, Bern, and Interlaken. It also provides services to certain locations including Brig in the Valais, especially during the winter season, to provide a connection for tourists mainly visiting the southeastern Swiss Alps. these connections are marketed under the name of TGV Liria des Neiges. Customer services SBB is also offering additional services for their customers. For a few years, SBB has been pushing their program for new digital offers and promoting new digital service ideas for their customers. As examples, SBB starts a collaboration with the new taxi service Uber, with the recruiting matchmaking service Chacando, or with their own co-working space in Zurich. SBB has already won one of the most important CRM awards in Switzerland for their SBB digital activities. Tickets and pricing. Tickets for the trains are relatively expensive compared with other world rail ticket prices. There are two classes, second class and first class. Tickets are half price for children not over 16 and holders of half-fare cards. Tickets can be bought at automated ticket machines in all train stations or at ticket offices. Tickets are routinely checked, are more sporadic. Some routes are checked, or, as the Swiss call it, controlled, more than others. Some ticket types and prices. As of October 2012, tickets between two long-distance destinations. These tickets allow a passenger to board a train between two destinations or a train which will make a transfer. The price of an adult second-class ticket between Zurich and Geneva is 82 Swiss francs. Tickets in tariff zones. Switzerland is divided into tariff zones, such as the SBB in the Zurich area, for local travel. 2 or 24-hour tickets are available for one or more zones, and are valid on most forms of public transportation within the zones. A 24-hour second-class ticket for all zones in the Zurich network costs 31.60 Swiss francs. Annual passes are available, requiring a photograph of the ticket holder. Zone passes. These passes apply in tariff zones and provide access to public transit in the zones paid for. Travel outside the tariff area can be added when necessary by purchasing an Anschluss billet. The yearly cost for an adult in second class with all zones in the Zurich network is 2,043 Swiss francs. GA Travel Card. This ticket grants access to all public transportation in Switzerland. The yearly cost for an adult in second class is 3,350 Swiss francs. Half-fare card. A card which entitles people over the age of 16 to buy tickets at half price. The cost of a one-year half-fare card is 175 Swiss francs from December 9, 2012. Extension tickets. These tickets extend a zone pass or other ticket to apply in more zones for up to 24 hours. A ticket for a second class, 24-hour, 1 to 2 zone upgrade is 8.20 Swiss francs in the Zurich area. There are many other tickets such as night tickets, youth cards, several-day tickets, punch cards, and special tickets for tariff zones, but the above are the most common. Airline code share. SBB code shares with American Airlines and Swiss International Airlines out of Zurich International Airport in Zurich. See also, Hans Hilfiger, list of stock used by Swiss Federal Railways, Postbus Switzerland, rail transport in Switzerland, Swiss travel system, public transport in Switzerland, Gotthardbahn, Gotthard-based tunnel, La Paragraph TSCHBERG-based tunnel, Rail 2000, Alp Transit. Notes and references. External links, English SBB website, network map, SBB digital homepage, SBB helpers page. The SBB cargo website, the City Night Line website in German, Dutch, or English, the electric locomotives Type 4/42 of the Swiss Federal and Private Railways.